Have you ever accidentally broken into somewhere you're not allowed to be in? Like the back rooms of a Walmart looking for the bathroom, or maybe the literal back rooms looking for the bathroom. I have my own personal experience accidentally getting into areas I'm not supposed to be in. A good example is when I went to a Cage the Elephant concert, and it rained so hard that everyone started holding a tarp above their head to hide from the rain, and I, squished up against a utility closet, accidentally squeezed in through the crack and found a bunch of people playing poker. And unfortunately, none of them spoke English, so they were just telling me to leave in Spanish. But I obliged, because, you know, if you get caught, just go out of there. I also have been to a few different abandoned buildings because Maryland is strewn with tons of different abandoned locations that are really fun to look into. But I have talked in the past about YouTubers who have also done the same thing. They've recorded themselves going into abandoned areas or off-limits areas and posting it on their channel to lots of views. One of the first ones I talked about was the YouTuber who broke into the Disney abandoned islands. And this was one of my first ever commentary videos I'd ever done on YouTube. You can tell because the setup looks so drastically different. The only thing the same is the fact that my hair is wet because I just showered. But there is actually a new YouTuber who had recently been freed from being captured in the place that he had broken into after 8 months in supposed captivity. Our YouTuber of obsession today is Lord Miles. He's a YouTuber with 80,000 subscribers that does a lot of survival, as you can see, British exploring, journalism, and charity. He does a lot of stuff going to really intense areas, recording it and posting it on his channel. You can see one of his most recent videos was surviving the most deadly island on the planet, Snake Island, which I believe is located around Brazil. You can fact check me on that, but he does a lot of stuff like that, and he's had a consistent upload schedule, doing it every 2-3 months. He posts a video about a situation that he has been surviving, and you can tell that as of the Snake Island video, there was a bit of a pause. He might have vanished off the earth for a moment, and as you can tell from what I said earlier, he was in captivity for 8 months because he had actually, for a newer video, went on trip across to the Middle East to visit the Taliban. Yeah, the Taliban. Clearly no joke. And he had tweeted recently about his return. But before that, he tweeted February 27th and then vanished for a few months. And then his account recently came back online as of July 17th, being run by, I assume, one of his friends, posting for him and talking for him. And there are a lot of tweets that I've seen and I went down a rabbit hole of, especially this image that shows that he is only 4 months into the custody at this moment, treated very well with several servants, loads of movies on his laptop, goes on picnics and has tea parties with the cabinet government of the Taliban, which, by the way, if you guys haven't been caught up with political lore, I don't like politics, but I'm aware of it. They're currently like the ruling faction of the area of Afghanistan. So it isn't like they're like a terrorist group. They're technically like a government, like a mini government. So he is technically in the custody of an actual government, not just a random terrorist group in the middle of the Middle East. But of course, when you log into Twitter, you're going to find skeptics. You're going to find people who don't believe in you. And so there are a lot of different accounts who have been on Twitter trying to mass report Lord Miles' account, because they just think that the Taliban's running it now and they're just faking it. And so there have been multiple people who are friends of him that they've shown images of saying like, hey, he's alive. Like, he's fine. Look at him. I've received proof of life, and from a friend of Miles, I cannot say much else. Well, that's not very promising. This entire thread is insane, but yes, Lord Miles is alive, and I also have confirmation that he's being treated reasonably well by the Taliban while under house arrest. He is certainly not dead. Yeah, so, like, they're trying to prove, like, hey, this man is still alive. He's fine. Yeah, he's in a scary situation, but apparently he could be thriving right now, which we learn more about as the tweets continue to release. Unfortunately, though, issues struck for our man Lord Miles. So there was a tweet that came out that said that his Patreon had been suspended because of associating with terrorists, which is strange because he's literally in custody. He's not really associating with them. I assume pushing the bill that he's being treated by servants would probably add to the idea that he might be like associating with them, but he literally is on house arrest. Like, there's no way of beating around that bush. From the information we've been given, he was on house arrest. He isn't really just like helping them. He's just trapped there and as a YouTuber. I forgot to mention this while making the video initially, but the Patreon that got banned, first of all, now that he's back, he plans to actually be putting a lawsuit out to Patreon for terminating his account because of the fact that he had actually been saving up all the money he had been earning for all the months that he had been gone with the Taliban. So he had lost thousands of dollars from that account being terminated. He's also push people who have donated to him already to donate elsewhere so that he still gets the money to support his channel. But then, as of around 7 days ago, a tweet came out from the account, again, who would have thought, that said that stay tuned, it's happening, as a quote tweet to, as many of you know, Miles at Real Lord Miles has been in Taliban custody for a long time, and many people are speculating that he's alive and wondering about his situation. I can confirm that I've spoken to Miles, and he will be updating everyone in the coming days. I have proof of this. I have asked him about many things, including his active Twitter account. Everything will be updated in the coming days. So this account's confirming that this man is going to be home soon, which actually comes to fruition with tweets that came out literally yesterday talking about how the guest house he stayed in for 8 months, talking in the first person now, not in the third person, trying to, I guess, push that it is Miles now. Not a jail, had 8+ Taliban guards who devoted themselves to being our servants. Anything we needed, they got. Very kind to them, often played games with them and watched movies. So he was chilling. He was kicking it with the Taliban. He went there for what I can only assume is a YouTube video, but I guess this guy's such a chill bloke that they just kind of accepted him and decided to start being polite to him, which I find very interesting, because he's also throughout some of his tweets been showing us that the Taliban, as the new government of Afghanistan, has been actually cracking down on crime in ways that the previous government hasn't been. And of course, I'm trying to border on not being political, but I do find it genuinely interesting that he's shedding a light on a situation that we didn't know about and wouldn't have known about, because you can't really just walk in and start recording. And he tweeted out talking about how he oversaw the arrest of members of, I don't know if I can say on YouTube, the is who have been attempting to sneak into Afghanistan through Pakistan. So he is showing that this government has things under control, which is nice. I'm proud of them. I'm happy for him. I'm not there. It doesn't matter to me, but I'm happy to see that they're doing great. That's swag to hear. I also find it really funny that there was one of the tweets that came out before he was actually released talking about how they were we need to send this guy some videos to keep him caught up with the outside world. And they're I know what we'll send him. Daily Dose of Internet, CoffeeZilla, and Joe Rogan podcasts. Because that's really all you need to know what's going on in the general public. That's all you ever need to know. You don't need the news. You just gotta watch a Joe Rogan podcast and a little bit of CoffeeZilla. And of course, as of his release, this image released, and this is the big one. This is the one that was on all the news titles, saying 8 months in Taliban intelligence custody, best adventure I've had yet. All the previous tweets are true, best mates with the very top commanders after numerous picnics. Lovely lads treated me as a guest. I'll be returning to Kabul next month. And there's him posted up with some of the members. I think that's kind of wholesome. I don't know, man. That's kind of silly just seeing how easily he managed to just chill and vibe with what we could only have known as a terrorist group. So that's good to hear that they might be chilling out and maybe just trying to settle down as an actual government. He also tweeted out just today at 8 a.m. saying, I've been kindly offered a Taliban escorted trip to Tora Bora in Afghanistan, caves where bin Laden hid out, so I can make a YouTube video. Absolutely saying yes. And this is the type of reporting I think is so incredibly dire. It's so incredibly necessary. It's just good people making friends with groups of people that we are unable to interact with, finding out information about them in a non-harmful way and spreading it to the world. And I think that's great. I think that's awesome. There's no bias. I mean, there could be bias. He did stay with them for 8 months, so there could be some inherent bias that I'm not considering. But it's just him showing off an adventure that he found genuinely interesting and informing us about things that we would have never figured out, which I think is, I just, as I've said, it's awesome. But of course, that's where the situation lies. I just want to talk about it. I found it genuinely interesting, especially after the video I posted yesterday about the Tom Segura stuff and the amount of hate that came in the comments. I didn't realize so many people were such diehard fans of Tom Segura. I apologize for not considering that before making the video, but I just thought the way he had reacted to the situation was a bit childish. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to be giving you guys the song of the day, which is sort of related to the topic, because just like Lord Miles had faith in the Taliban, you should listen to Faith by The Weeknd. That was a strange segue, but consider giving it a listen. I'm going to add it to the Songs of the Day playlist, and I'm going to be hitting the road. I appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with me. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. I'd like to see you around for future videos, and maybe like the video as well. Liking helps a lot. But I'll see you guys next time I see you, and as always, adios, arrivederci, goodbye, good night, and maybe I should do a vlog in the Middle East sometime. No.